video. I believe so, anyway. Just a conversation video of some kind. Yeah, I want to say some stuff. Mostly complaining that there's just not feedback enough to have conversation with people in terms of any kind of coherent feedback. So anyway, Modern Mystics made a few videos. Started off kind of doing the people aren't people kind of notion. This is sort of a theme that goes through some of this stuff, as if we can't perceive ourselves or think of ourselves as individuals because somehow, and I would agree with this part, we're byproducts. The world makes you. You don't make you. You're just a byproduct of a bunch of events. First you have your chromosomes and your birthplace, and then you have your parents, and you have your school, and you have your TV, and you have whatever influences you, and all that crap creates whatever you end up being. And you don't really do anything. You're just a reactor. You just absorb crap. The crap piles up into a form, and depending on what form you are, stuff will stick to you. Depends on what you become sticky to. I don't know what a perfect metaphor for that is, but some things the world can throw at you and you didn't see it, just flew right by you, and somebody else that little bit sticks because it has the love word in it, or it's got rainbows or unicorns or something, and you're horny for that shit. You like the color pink, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And so you become a different kind of person just because different shit sticks to you because you interact with the world and collect this shit. Well, anyway, so regardless, yes, we're byproducts. So what? We're still individuals, in the sense we're still a self-contained mechanism. And yes, it's interacting in an environment, and the environment and the mechanism are... The environment over time creates the mechanism, and so the mechanism isn't doing anything the environment didn't already sort of feed it with. But there is a distinction in the sense that these things don't all perform the same way, and that's the real point. Some of them do math right, some of them do math wrong. Some of them do complex math, some of them don't. Some of them do math that's so complex it's stupid, some don't. The same you could say with this philosophy stuff. Some people, make it into much more than it should be, and create souls and all kinds of bullshit and all kinds of mechanisms and blah, 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 and it's all bullshit. And then some people way underdo it in the sense that they just go through their life never even really having a philosophy, not thinking about how they interact with the world and how their brain reacts and why it's reacting, and recognizing any of that crap. They're just like a dog. They're just in the moment, and that's all they ever do, and they're just robots. We're all robots. Okay, wrong word. They're just running a real simple. Okay, the stuff inside of them is simple and silly even. And I guess that's the important part, is that we can make distinctions between good performance, bad performance, because we know what performance is, and performance has something to do with feeling okay and making the world feel okay, because pure logic just tells you have no reason to think the rest of the things aren't real and that they don't feel what you feel and all that kind of crap. So I don't even really have to argue that kind of basic crap, because anybody who rejects that basic crap and pretends they're the real human and everybody else is just a synthetic is just frickin' retarded. So there's no point in trying to have a conversation with somebody who's pretending they're living in some universe where all the other humans aren't human in every way that you're human. So just logic tells you that if it's valuable that you feel good, it's valuable that other people feel good. So you really can't play the game, being rational. Your brain has no reason to think it should be working for your welfare any harder than it's working for anybody else's welfare, because the truth is, all that matters is that your brain work to improve conditions. And improving conditions doesn't mean my conditions. It means conditions. And I've sort of made this argument about children and all kinds of things. It's just silly for people to think of children as my child. The properties that make the child valuable are something the child has. They're not something that you create. They are created by the child, and the child doesn't. Who the father and mother is completely irrelevant. Doesn't mean anything. It just means the only thing that matters is that the child needs to be programmed. It needs to be developed and improved and polished and shined and all this. You have to maintain the thing to have it be able to mature into something. And all of them need that. And it really, this me shit doesn't mean anything. Mine, it doesn't mean anything. Because the properties are, like I said, the child has them. It has the needs. We don't give them their needs with our my bullshit. Anyway, so all that crap, the stuff people you normally live for, is all crap. It's all subjective, emotional bullshit, and has nothing to do with having a rational conversation about what our role here is as feeling beasties who have this extra capacity to do this pre-reading of the script. See, these are concepts I've brought up before, and the mystic sort of just ignores them. Because he wants to play this game as if nothing changes, when change is actually in the script. Okay, so of course things change. I mean, obviously, the fact that change is in the script means the change isn't a change from the script. You're not changing the script. So the word change is kind of difficult to use here because change is in the script, and therefore you can't say you change from the script. But you change from what the script looked like it was going to be. So we have a brain. We can see some of the future in terms of probabilities and likelihoods. And we can understand that there's certain guarantees, right? I mean, if nobody goes to the war, you lose the war. These kind of obvious things, where you can do this probability thing. If you don't buy the lottery ticket, you can't win the lottery. Little logical things. So we can see ahead of time. We can see things that are happening now in the script and say, certain things are inevitable because of these things. Certain things are impossible because of these things happening. And so we have some knowledge of script. We've seen past script and how it works. We're involved in the present, and we can see some of the future. And we can know, as we're reading our script, hey, that's a really stupid thing in my script. I see what looks like I'm going to do, and it says to me, well, I can see what would happen if that's in the script. If I leave that in the script, if that's in the script, then I can say certain things are going to happen. So if I go out and rob a bank and do this and do that, I can write a script and say, okay, yeah, I can see what's going to happen, nothing good. Let's not do that. Now, I didn't change the script. I didn't change what was inevitable to happen. But clearly, I changed in the sense that what was made obvious to me as knowledge, that this script I'm reading currently is bad, and I need to read better script if I want better to happen, that part I can see. And so that change is part of the script that I become aware and knowledgeable and sensible. So I no longer do something stupid. So, I don't advocate for something stupid. I don't defend something stupid because I have knowledge that that would be stupid. Okay, to do that, to advocate for example, putting solar panels on roofs. I can have knowledge that, oh yeah, that wastes 50% of the energy. Gee, that would be really stupid then. Let's not do that. Let's do it the smart way instead of the dumb way. Let's do it the way, the reasonable and logical way instead of the hasty, capitalistic bullshit way. So I can have knowledge. Knowledge changes the script. And so the mystic says he doesn't want that to be the truth, or he doesn't like that as a phrase. I don't know what it is. He just doesn't like this idea that I'm going to imply that inevitable isn't inevitable. Of course, inevitable is inevitable. But we're not stupid. We're not uninsightful. It's not like we can't understand crime doesn't pay or some other principle. Of course we can. And of course we can advocate for those principles. Okay. So in that sense, he and me might agree that we can't advocate. But he advocates for mush. I mean, so he made a video, the brain's owner, where he's talking about books and different things, and he's talking about how he's getting rid of the useless stuff, and he keeps, he's going to keep a couple of copies of his Bhagavad Gita or Gata Vita, whatever the fuck it is. It's the stupid Atreyu story. I don't know, never-ending story, whatever. Some little pussy faggot and some other faggot, Buddha, have some dopey conversation on the, looking over the war that's going to happen, and they start talking about the meaning of life. Kind of just a bullshit story about yoga and spirit and soul and mush and redundancy all over the place. It is so full of Krishna kind of crap. And he sees value in this. Okay, I mean, I shouldn't be just shitting on it, but then go ahead, isolate the value. See, I mean, I could say there's value in the Christian Bible in the sense that the golden rule is nice. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Nice concept. What comes around goes around. Not in the Bible, but sort of the same idea, the same kind of theme. If you don't fuck the world up, then you won't have to expect the world to be fucked at you. If you can figure out how to do it right, then the other people will figure out how to do it right. If you invest in doing it right, they might have the same logical process and they'll invest in doing it right. And maybe we can all do it right. So in principle, nice theme, blah, blah, blah. Nothing wrong with that. You can see the flaw in the old logic of eye for an eye, because that's just, everybody's blind in the end. You don't have to do the equal or the excess to make the point. So this gets into the crime and punishment argument, which it always does, like the stupid people tied on the railroad tracks dilemma stuff and all these stupid little thought experiments people make up. And so any conversation that comes around to talking about crime and punishment, these stupid douchebags, sorry, I mean, I just, this is just so stupid. They always think that the only reason we, the human beings, invented punishment was to torment the prosecutor of the crime. That the only reason why we did it is because we just want to do evil to the evildoers. And that's not the only reason. The reason why it's stuck around as a concept is because it works as deterrence. That's why, okay? It's deterrence. You can't have deterrence if you reward criminals. Then everybody who has a criminal thought will say, hey, it's win-win, okay? Even if I get caught, I don't lose because they're too pussy to punish me. Because they don't think I could have made a choice, blah, 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 blah. It's just such bullshit. Clearly, people think before they act, and if they're thinking about, I don't want to pay a price for doing this, I don't want to pay the freight, then you win. Now, most of the really bad crimes are committed by people who are fucking insane. So they don't think they're going to get caught, or they don't think this, they don't think much, okay? They think all kind of wacky. So that's why they commit crimes. But all the smart people, they're afraid of getting caught, okay? They don't go out and do justice all over the world all the time because they know, hey, I might shoot the wrong guy and have to go to prison forever. I might do this. I don't want the, consequences. And you could, so of course deterrence works. It's just idiotic to think it doesn't work, and that's why punishments exist. It's not, yes, I will concede that most of the simple people, there's people who just have, grapefruits or something. I mean, who are philosophically, small. Yeah, they're not thinking anything higher minded than, oh, what a nasty person, punish. I want to kill that fucker. And especially when they do something to you. I mean, they kill your wife or your sister or something, or rape their kids or something. I mean, of course, you're going to have this emotional response that says, I just want this person's face turned into fucking mush. But clearly, in a bigger social context, this idea of punishment exists because it does create deterrence. And so it's just a fact. And so even if you have this higher mind, okay, where you recognize the idiot who committed the crime couldn't have done anything else because his programming is shit. He has shitty thoughts, shitty ideas, shitty concepts. He's just a shit. And he can't do anything about being a shit because the world made him a shit. Now, even if you concede that in some sort of context where we're all doing this high-minded bullshit where we're just saying, well, nobody's accountable for anything because everybody's a byproduct of the puke the culture made them into. Well, of course, so what? But clearly these concepts, I mean, even in that context, I'll still argue that when you lose sight of facts like 2 + 2 = 4, you are functionally broken, retarded, almost unreclamatable, and we should just squish, be done with that. But anyway, it's not about punishment, not even about deterrence. It's just about recognizing when something is so fucking broken, just squish it. Fuck this bullshit. It's too broken. You wouldn't have a toaster in your house that was leaking toxic fumes or gas or something, or radioactive. You'd say, fuck this thing. Buy a new toaster. They're a dime a dozen. Replace the fucking thing with a fucking thing that works. Just logic. But anyway, even if you're doing this silly, oh, they can't help being assholes bullshit, you're still stuck with the dilemma that if you do not punish crime, you'll have a lot more of it. Because then even rational people, okay, rational in the sense of selfishly rational, will recognize that, hey, I can get away with it, so who the fuck cares? I might as well. I mean, they'll give me free therapy, and they'll give me this, and give me that, and they'll talk to me, and do all kinds of stuff, and yeah, what do I lose? I don't lose anything. So you can't not make punishment or you have no deterrence, and deterrence works on people that might be jerks, but they're not colossal assholes. But they are jerks, and they will do jerky things if you say it's okay to do them, and that's just a fact. So yes, even if you understand they couldn't help being retarded, if you don't punish them, if you don't make them experience a negative result, okay, you've lost your entire mechanism to control social behavior, because most people are selfish, and most people will cut corners, and most people will not do the right thing if you give them the liberty. They're not going to be self-limiting. They're not going to have a mechanism that says, I want it to say on my tombstone that I wasn't an asshole. They just don't care what's on their tombstone. They don't care what their effect on the world is. All they're thinking about is, gee, my penis needs, and that's all they're thinking about. And so you're not going to be able to have any effect on their behavior in terms of improving it by enlightening them. That is so much more work. And it's especially a ton of work if the way you're enlightening them is saying, go read the Christian Bible, or go read the Kamakabbida Buddha. Fuck that shit, because it's all a bunch of irrational pieces of crap stuck together in some sort of bizarre form, and it just makes some sort of monster. It doesn't make anything rational. So fuck that. And what we can do, though, is we can have conversation with each other and say, look, I'm just trying to get you to understand something simple here, okay? I don't have a Jesus complex, but I'm just saying to you, don't you understand that if I give the world good, and then I'm not unusual in some bizarre way, then other people might have the same thought that, yeah, if I do good in the world, then other people do good in the world, and it'll all come around and go around, and that circle is going to run a lot better than this circle of how can I fuck this guy, and how can I screw this person, how can I get what's my advantage, what's in it for me. If everybody's walking around doing this what's in it for me thing, you know that can't fucking goddamn work. I mean, that just popped a thought into my head that I don't even know if Nick has figured that out yet, because he is sort of a fan of Nietzsche-esque crapola. He's such a defeatist, such a copper outer. And I don't want to say, he thinks he's not, but I mean, this whole Bharvavita Gata Buddha bullshit, it's all laced in this kind of, you're trying to find your nirvana and your peace. And it's all this big lie that somehow if you do this meditation thing and concentrate on the tip of your nose and go woo, 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 that somehow if you got pancreatic cancer, you're not going to feel it anymore. It's somehow the basic mechanism, you're going to somehow gain great control over it. And there's no evidence of any of that shit existing. And it was a little bit funny because he pointed to some yoga chick who was basically just showing off how she can do, back bends and do all this stuff. Like it's like she's more spiritual because she can convert her back upside down. Which is just kind of funny, in the face of it. It's just funny how people can pervert things into just some other kind of crap. But you could argue that the Buddha guys who light themselves on fire are doing the same fucking thing. They're just doing their show off. Look how far I can throw the spear or the shot put or whatever. Yeah, I've controlled my reactions. That's all we have control over, frankly. We can control how we react. So if you practice a bit, take a mousetrap, for example, and snap your finger. Now, the first time you're going to go, and you do it the second time, and the third time, and finally, you'll be able to just snap your fingers in a mousetrap, and you'll just go like it was nothing, because you've practiced. And that's all these Buddha assholes do. They just spend all day sticking needles in their dick and saying, okay, how much of this can I take? Can I prevent myself from wincing and my eyes going all funny and, having a reaction? So all they're doing is controlling reactions. They're not controlling what they're feeling. They're just controlling how they react to what they're feeling. Because that's really all we have control over. Now, I'm not saying we don't have control over some of our thoughts in the sense that, yes, sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. You can sit there and just put a bunch of easy stuff in your brain, and then your brain will be saying, oh, you're in good stuff, you're comfortable, so I don't have to do any of this physiological reacting. I don't have to be tense, and I don't have to squeeze your guts, and I don't have to do all this turning of things and twisting of them. So yes, you can relax yourself by having just a mantra or some kind of crapola that you shove into your brain, in the sense that the program says, yeah, okay, it's time to pretend, and you can sort of create a drug-induced state. But again, this is all this is doing. All this crap, this whole Bharvita Gata Buddha bullshitty stuff, is all that. It's just saying, look, this is the hard way. Or you could just take some heroin. Okay? I mean, because it really isn't talking about making you a better person. It's just talking about this bullshit that you're going to become, godlike and get your nirvana. While you watch Holocausts, you won't react. Oh, I can watch people die in the battlefield. I can watch this. I can see this. I can do this. And I don't have to react to any of it because I've learned to be glib. And so, in a sense, that's all he's saying. That God is glib. That enlightenment is glib. That, what's the word they use all the time? These phantasmagorical whoop-de-doers. They're always talking using this, where you go beyond the regular. What's the word for it? Damn it. It really sucks getting old. Not that, words didn't disappear when I was young, but it just seems to happen more often now. Alright, so X something, X. But yeah, you're sort of going, this next level or this other level you're going. But anyway, so they always talk about it in these fucking terms as if being a mega glib is, going beyond or going up somewhere. No, you're not going up anywhere. You're just being an asshole, a useless asshole. Okay, who's focused on you and not focused on what the real problem is, which is the future needs help. The future's in big trouble because there's a bunch of assholes deciding what the future is. They keep putting solar panels on roofs because nobody's stopping them. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's saying, stop doing it the wrong fucking way. Don't pretend you're for greenness when you're throwing 50% of the energy in the toilet. Don't give me these bullshit arguments. You give a fuck, when you keep selling out for bullshit solutions that aren't solutions. It's just... Alright, so the real takeaway from this little piece of conversation is first, why is the conversation so difficult? Can't we cut this into fucking phrases and concepts. I mean, the do unto this thing, okay, we can sort of understand that, but it's not very deep. Okay, do unto, that's more of this what's in it for me shit. But the obvious crap is the future's really big. The past is almost, it's already gone. Just flew by. And the past, I mean, the present is really small. And the past, we can't do anything about. We can't fix it. We can't undo the horror and the crimes that have happened. So all we got is the future. All we got is what can we do for the future. Because the mass of experiences are going to happen in the future, for fuck's sake. And so that should always be our focus. What's in it for the future? Not what's in it for me. You know, what's in it for the future? Because that's where the bulk of experience will take place. And one fix here, one cure you create here. You know, you eradicate smallpox. You do this, you do... One thing we can fix here, you can have, you know, just an insane amount of positive impact in the future because the future's so fucking big. You know, imagine, you know, just if you could have, you know, cured the Black Plague 1,000 years ahead of time or something. I mean, just all the victims that wouldn't have existed. You know, all the pain and suffering that still would have had to be endured in some sense, but you got to die of something. But maybe you wouldn't have died as horribly as the Black Plague. These are the other equations that are, you know, real deep philosophy has to account for, because it isn't just about dying. It's about how the fuck you die, you know, and what you experience while dying. You know, death isn't the only part of this equation. You know, when you die is important-ish. You know, I would argue it really doesn't matter to you because you're dead and you're not going to know the difference. You're not going to miss any of the stuff you missed. But the fact is that we can die well or die badly. That's a really important subject. And so when we talk about saving lives or saving this or saving that, now if you're not focused on the quality of the life, how much quality of life did you save? The huge difference between, say, you know, all this hysteria about cancer from cigarettes or early death from cigarettes, when of course most of the early deaths aren't that early. They're all after 60. So the vast majority of them happen after 60. Where something like alcohol, no, the vast majority of the unnecessary death happens to people driving in cars, very young people, especially teenagers. It's the number one cause of teenage death, I think, or at least in the top 3. Right? And no one's talking about let's tax the fuck out of alcohol. Let's tax it out of usability. I mean, you can't smoke, right? Because who's got $20 a day to waste on cigarettes? Except very, very rich people. I mean, I don't know anybody who's got extra $20 a day. I see a lot of poor people smoking. I don't know where the fuck they're stealing the money. Because it's an obscene amount of money. So, yeah, I'm just saying that where's the equal effort? So you're killing the kids with one, and you're killing people who are going to die in a few years anyway. So how much life have you stolen, right? I mean, obviously when you kill a teenager, you've stolen a lot of life. When you kill somebody at 65, what do you steal? 9 years of farting too much. You know, you really haven't taken much away. I mean, frankly, okay? I mean, after 60, it's the slide downhill just gets really, you see how fast you're going downhill. I mean, you're fucked. You know what, all the stuff that, I ain't going to do that anymore. I ain't going to do this anymore. I ain't going to do that anymore. I ain't going to do this anymore. I mean, it's all this shit that's off your list. They talk about these golden years. Bull fucking shit. Unless you think a golden year is sitting in a chair without going, ouch. Oh, what a golden day. Anyways, that's a whole nother, all this horse shit that people live for, and all this horse shit lies that are in every conversation about what life means. It's all these propaganda and all this bullshit. So anyway, the takeaway point is, I just, can't, if somebody says something is valuable, can't they condense it into some sort of rational statement? Do they have to leave it in its original babble form? Again, I can argue that. I can point out the few good things about Christianity. I mean, this whole idea that, if you don't go out using your sword, then you don't have to expect other people using swords and all this kind of stuff. You invest in making a better world. Now, maybe you're not going to get what you deserve, But if you give other people what they deserve, at least you've taken care of the part you can control. You can't control them, but you can understand that if other people have these thoughts, if you invest in them and you show you can be a hero, then maybe they'll try to be a hero. That kind of thing. So you know it can only have it's the only way to go, because investing in the other, that is jabbing your swords all over the place, being reckless, means that you're just embracing recklessness and embracing the chaos you get with it, and that society isn't the one you want. You want a society where you don't have to ban guns. You want a society where nobody wants one. That's what you want. Nobody feels the need to be proactive, in terms of doing, what's the right word to use? Taking the first reckless steps, the dangerous steps. You always want to do it. If you can do it the same way without the radiation, you do it the same way without the radiation. If you can get the same result without taking these idiotic risks, then yeah, go that way. That's being rational. So anyways, yeah, so why not just condense this into some sort of ideas? I just don't see why he would advocate that people pay attention in some way, and that's sort of what he did, even though he'll deny that's what he did. But he's basically saying, look, this is what I value. And but it's in a form that's incomprehensible. He's basically saying you need a guru to tell you what it means. So why don't you just do that part for us? See, he calls himself the modern mystic still, so he's still playing with this bullshit. That's where it comes from. I just thought he was kind of playing with the word, but no, he's serious. He thinks this word means something, and it means something like enlightenment. I just had the word and I lost it. Transcendence. That's it. See, he thinks he's a transcendent being because he's, paid attention to these little babbly rules. And he's transcended his mortal blah, blah, blah. And, because the guru, he heard the interpretation, or he got the translation from the guru, so he knows what the real secret to it is, or some kind of horse shit like that. So that's why he's using the word, because he thinks he's one of those transcendent beings. And again, the bottom line is all they're looking for is their personal nirvana. So they're really, in my opinion, just totally missing the subject, because the subject isn't your personal welfare. It's just totally irrelevant. So why are we even talking about what the benefits are of being I just lost the word again, a transcendent being? If transcendent beings are preoccupied with meditating and trying to figure out how to go, hide themselves from the horror, then how the fuck are they any good? They're useless. So, yeah, bullshit. And even the idea, of this metaphorical suffering thing, setting yourself on fire and dying. Oh yeah, that makes you a great soldier, right? I mean, if all the soldiers just set themselves on fire and die, I mean, it's like the scene from Monty Python, when the crack suicide squad shows up and they commit suicide. No, instead of committing suicide by acting, taking on the Romans, doing something heroic, they just do the dying part as if that's the solution, is dying. No, dying isn't the solution. Being willing to die, like Patton would say, get the other slob to die for his country. I mean, your objective is not to die. Yes, you may. Maybe a 50-50 chance you will. But your objective is get the other asshole to die for his country. So, not that I believe that in that cynical view. I'm just saying that's all this is. Okay? This is just useless crap. It doesn't fix the problems. And and I've sort of made this rag before. I mean, all these people who think India has something to tell the world, I mean, it's a fucking mess. I mean, they've got nothing, all right, done right. Everything's done wrong. Why the fuck would you use that as well, they must have the answer. They got the key knowledge. They're all transcendent. Bullshit. They obviously don't know how to use this thing. They obviously don't know how to make it work. So why the fuck do these people think, oh, I don't know, but this is the real deal? Well, why don't you turn to a real deal that actually works, or actually says something explicit, or actually says something somebody can understand? Because this whole idea of focusing on my nose somehow is going to make the world a better place. It's just horseshit. All it's going to do is make me a cop-outer. All it's going to make me is a crack suicide squad. I've just advocated any of my power I've thrown in the garbage by doing what they suggest, which is going to isolation and stare at your fucking nose. I mean, what the fuck? It's stupid. Alright, so he brings this crap up in one video, the brain's owner, and then he rags on it in Red Flag to Bull. So he's basically saying, okay, it's bullshit like Christianity, it's just stupid religion with spirituality, but it apparently has some kind of value because you're keeping 2 copies of it for some fucking reason. So you must think it's marvelous poetry or something. And so we have these red flags. Yeah, well, my flags went up too. I'm saying, why the fuck are you sitting and why are you giving us this raw version, okay, this raw fish when you could cook it? Why are you feeding us the undeveloped version when you could feed us the one that's in English, So it just, what the fuck? There's nothing to argue now because you just basically said this answers your questions and this answers all your critiques, and yet it's an incomprehensible answer, and you're just pretending, oh, it's because I'm too stupid to figure out how staring at my fucking nose fixes the future. Because, I'm too that word. I haven't transcended. What a pile of crap. Alright, so there's just, I can't take anything. I couldn't even tell whether he was criticizing me or in some sense praising me, because in one point he says, well, Gary said these 2 things that are essentially the core of this Baba Gita bullshit. Did I? And what are the key things? Because frankly, those takeaways can be, I just see the contradictions. So when I look at what it says, I see 1 minute it's talking about nirvana and your personal contentment, and the next minute it's talking about your obligations. And so, it just doesn't make much sense, because you're not going to do your obligation part in your personal contentment part. You're not going to fix the world by running away from the world. All of that crap. So none of that makes any sense to me. So it's contradictions are all over, or I'd say the contradictions are grotesque. They're so overt. Just like the Christian Bible. One place it says, kill your neighbor, and the next place it says, love your neighbor. I mean, it's just bullshit. It contradicts itself all over the place. Throw the stones, don't throw the stones. I mean, it doesn't make any fucking sense. You're going to hell. Well, if you're going to hell, then why doesn't somebody kill you now? What's the point? Oh, hell forever. Oh, okay, well, you're already ruined. You're already going to hell forever, so we might as well stone you to death, because you got nothing. You got nothing to live for, because you're going to spend eternity in hell. How are you going to compare eternity in hell to another 20 years on earth? It's not going to mean anything, so we might as well just stone you now. I mean, the whole Bible doesn't make any fucking sense. The whole thing is just bullshit. See, I said the whole thing. Now, there's little pieces of it that are reasonable. Especially the parts that basically admit life sucks. The winners are the ones who died in birth and childbirth. You win if you die in childbirth, because then you're not going to get judged, and you got your free road to paradise or whatever dice. All right. So, do I need to say any more? I mean, it'd be nice to be able to have a conversation with somebody rational about whether there's any elements to this nonsense that means anything. Of course, the spiritual stuff, you can all say, oh, come on, that's just bullshit. There's no living gods. There's no dead gods. There's no any gods. There's either high-performance person or low-performance person. There's somebody who gets what we're playing for, the value that's at stake, which is the comfort of the existing feeling bots that are running around. And the reason why what happens to the bots matters is because the feeling thing matters. I mean, it does matter whether you're in pain or you're in comfort. The two things are very different sensations, they're very different experiences, and they're decidedly not the same things. That's another thing this Buddha stuff promises, that somehow if you do enough of this bullshit where you look at your nose, that somehow it won't matter to you. Okay? You know, whether I cut your leg off or I give you a cupcake. And it's just, you buy that bullshit? I mean, doesn't that sound like such a used car salesman kind of bullshit? I mean, what the fuck? I mean, that just sounds like such an overt pile of crap lie. You know, you promise, oh yeah, if I do all this bullshit and spend all my time, waste all my time doing all this nonsense, somehow having my leg cut off will be the same as having a nice yummy cupcake. Oh, bullshit. You know, that just, you know, please. Ugh. It's pathetically not true. And that's why India looks the way it does, is because the Indians found out, hey, this is horse shit. You don't get immunity from pain with this nonsense. Okay, you're still going to get ground up and you're going to scream and it's going to be horrible. And this fucking lie isn't going to fix it. And so what we're fighting for is not to get all ground up, not ground up as much, ground up softer and gentler. That's the minimum we should be striving for, is to take some of the, you know, the nastiness out of the process, and that's all we can do. And that's so obviously the first step, is to try to make it less bad. And ideally, yes, you just prevent it, because it's not built to do anything else but torture shit. That's what it's made for. It's made basically to grind shit up so it can make its little improvements. All right, so kill 1 million to make 2. And it's just a stupid idea. Nobody should have invented it. It's just really bad. It's logically irrational. To torture 1 million or 1,000 or even 100 or even 1 to win a gold medal that nobody needs, that nobody can eat, that will not feed anyone. Oh, shit. So, you know, I mean, he, you know, like I said, somewhere communication between me and the mystic just totally broke down, and I think it began when I started calling him what he appears to be, which is a nihilist, a glib nihilist, who thinks winning is not caring and not being affected, when the only way you're going to do something to fix the world is to be affected. And I could take heroin, I could take some drugs, and maybe I could find a state where I don't give a fuck. Okay, because I'm just, you know, playing with myself, so to speak, lost in my own sensations and my own blah, 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 blah. You know, I can do that. Would I would I think that somebody should applaud because I did that? Hey, great move, Gary. No. Do I see any dignity in it? No. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I guess if I thought it would really work, you know, if I saw some examples of somebody who did it and it actually worked, maybe I'd be selfish enough to go for it. But yeah, we kind of know that it doesn't really work in the long term. It only works for a while, and then it basically kills you. So that doesn't really work. But escapisms in different forms does work, and that's what people live on. And if everybody just says that's the best we can do, then we're going to lose. That's the script we can see being written. We can see the script. The people are all talking as if that's what the game is. That's winning. You know, go find some little personal recreation to keep you occupied and you interested and you happy, and therefore the world will be a better place. Well, that ain't going to happen. You got to be irritated, and you got to find it. You got to find the stench horrible. All that shit has to happen, or you don't clean anything. You don't fix things that you don't feel the broken. If you're not, recognizing it, and if it's not irritating you, the selfish nature is, fuck it, who cares? So you still gotta feel it. You gotta find it obnoxious. You gotta find it rough on your senses. You gotta be somewhere else than nirvana, or you're just not gonna get out of the couch and do a damn fucking thing. So fixing it has to mean something. It has to be something you need. And as I've pointed out before, I fail in some sense because I need it kind of selfishly. I know I'm here because of some other idiot's decision. And I know that's just going to keep happening over and over again until I do something to change those decisions in the future. That's just what's going to happen. So it's going to be me born again, in a sense. Just the same kind of, won't be me personally, won't be exactly me, but it's going to be close enough to me, to my own clone, so to speak, that's going to go through the same process of realizing, I live in a world full of idiots, and then even the smart people are talking shit. I mean, god damn it. And it's going to have to feel this irritation all over again. And what do I do about this? You can't have a conversation with the dumbasses because they're too fucking stupid. And then the smart people are so lost in their glib escapism that you can't have a conversation with them either. And they talk like, oh yeah, I've transcended, and yet they're the most hypersensitive fucking assholes on earth. I can accept having cancer, but you can't call me a boogerhead. I mean, they get hysterical. Oh, you called me a boogerhead. That now they're crying and running, But they're basically saying my transcendence has made me immune to everything, except being called a boogerhead. I mean, it's that bad. I mean, it's that shamelessly bad, to talk about your transcendent philosophy and how you're indestructible, basically, now, because you've transcended this mortal crap, and then you get hysterical because somebody doesn't have their pinky out when they're handing you the tea or something. I mean, it's just, what the fuck is this? So, he's way too sensitive. For somebody who's talking about the value of transcendence, because he obviously hasn't transcended being worried about that stupid crap. Ooh, he called me a nihilist. Ooh, I have to get all upset. Upset to the point where you have to just run away. And that's what he's done. But anyway, so what's so complicated about having this conversation? We're evolved organisms. That whole process of evolution clearly has a lot of stuff you might call change in it. Things went from little squiggly to very big squiggly with lots of complex functions. So clearly stuff changed in some way. I mean, stuff happened. And that happening was all kind of inevitable. Yes, not just kind of inevitable, but inevitable. As a process because of the conditions. It's Earth and the Moon and the Sun and all those conditions decided how this thing would happen and what would happen. But it doesn't change the fact, again, that here we are as this complex evolved thing. Now we can see that we're evolved from these fucking organisms. We understand the blueprint of evolution in the sense that it's mass murder. Kill 99% of the production in a brutal, terrible way, mostly as children, so you can get into some sort of genetic competition, and grow a third foot or something, because 3 feet is so much better than 2, whatever the bullshit is. I mean, and it's just bullshit. And that we can clearly see, though, that we can see script writing, we can understand scripts, and we can understand that, well, change isn't going to happen if no one says, hey, change needs to happen. If no one says that, then it's less likely that change is going to happen. So obviously people start to have to say, hey, we got to rewrite this. Well, in the sense we have to, we can't change inevitable, but I just mean we have to do what inevitable requires, which is we have to read the better script, the script that we can understand fixes this one we're heading for, which is stupid. So we know we need to take this other road, and we can understand what the script needs to say for us to take the other road. And the script needs people talking about the script and talking about how, well, if we don't, if we don't make the better future don't happen. So clearly, we have to make sure that when the real script shows up, and we're not just reading what we project the script to be, when the real script shows up, the real script has, I said you fucking people suck and we got to do better than this. And then he said it, and he said it, and we all talked about it. We talked about why we need to do that, because the only way something changes, the only way the improved script gets read, the only way the script is improved, the only way the script is improved over what we're projecting it to be, which is complete failure, the only way we escape complete failure is that we read the right script, the inevitable script, which has in it us doing something. See, language is so broken that it's just, our words are just so undercooked, just a little bit too raw and sloppy, mushy. The glue didn't set, whatever the metaphor is. And so they're just not as good as they should be. So that's why this gets difficult. Because we all should be able to agree that everything is dictated by the existence of all this physical stuff, the meteor heading right for us, or this. It's all dictated by stuff already in motion. So we're not escaping that, and we're not having a conversation about escaping that. We're having a conversation about what's our evolution, what's our possible transmission through the sequence of time, and that again, we do have the capacity to see into the future, to see glimmers of it, to project something, an image, a model. We can model it. And we have a model, and we can look at our little model and say, what does this little model need? What needs to change in this little model for something to happen? And then we can realize that, yes, that's the script we need to be reading, and the only way we can read that script is we have to make that script. It has to be part of the process. We have to be part of the process of change. We have to be we have to function. We have to do our job. We have to play our role. Oh, I don't even know how to say this efficiently. It's like the person who says, I'm not going to go to the war. I'm going to find a way to weasel out. Now, he can model and understand that there's different possibilities that could happen at war. If he goes, he could have saved a whole ship worth of guys because he shot an airplane down. So he could save a bunch of people from horrible burning death. But then a Natural Geographic show going into the sunken ship 100 years later, take pictures of it, never would have been filmed. And that guy would have been poor and hungry, the producer of that film. All this stuff you change. It's just an amazing amount of things when you think about every move you make changes so much. I've brought this up before. People get married to other people, and you just have to have a little bit of imagination. You start thinking about, well, where would she be if she didn't marry me? Would she be better off? She'd marry a rich guy, have a really nice life, that have kids that would cure cancer. What future did I ruin, by fucking with this world? But again, the argument I'm making is that some of the stuff we can know for certain, like putting solar panels on roofs, dumb. Don't do it. Let's all invest in a farm, okay, and get 100% of the energy, not just 50. Let's do it the right way, not the wrong way. Come on. There's stuff we can know is doom, and I'm saying what I know is doom is a bunch of people talking religious crap, and then even people who are sort of anti-religion still talking religious crap. That's not going to work. I've said it before. You can't do much about dumb people, but smart people, yeah, you can expect a hell of a lot more from them, and they're so underperforming. They're so full of fucking shit. Okay. Oh, yeah. Been over it. Been over it again. But there's conversations about how to actualize your personal fucking happiness or nirvana are just a waste of fucking goddamn valuable words. because it's not going to save the future from the doom we're setting it up for by letting the script stay in a condition that we know is going to fail. Something like that. Just trying to find a safe way to say it where I'm not implying that we change the future, because we can't do that. We can only change from what we perceive it to be. From one perception to another perception. We can change perception. And frankly, though, the perception will be the reality. Again, buying the lottery ticket, not buying the ticket. If you don't buy the ticket, you can know certain futures have been eliminated. Damn it. All right. So, enough. Till the next time. It's interesting. Nick does look quite different. Don't know whether he looks younger or older. I mean, some images looks older. I guess he looks like he lost weight, and maybe some of it's just because he trimmed the beard down to a smaller amount of beard. But anyway, it seems like he's doing okay, and that's good. I was, concerned that maybe something was wrong. So anyway, till the next time, and such. Yeah, that's all I can do with this. I think it's all. Well, it's all I'm going to try to do today.